children! 28 years later, one of this year's highest anticipated films has finally arrived, and fans are confused, disappointed, intrigued. How about all of that and a shot of blind rage? 28 years later is the latest entry in the long-beloved series created by Danny Boyle and Alex Garland in 2002 with their film 28 Days Later. The movie, as the title would suggest, takes place 28 years after the initial outbreak from the first movie and catches us up on what life is like almost 3 decades later. And you know what? This movie was really something, my friends. Let's talk about it. Let's go! So, it's been 28 years since that adorable little monkey infected the UK with a deadly virus, causing nearly all of UK residents to become bloodthirsty monsters known as the Infected. In this amount of time, it shows us how the infected have grown to evolve while humanity and our lifestyle has sort of devolved. And now humans have resorted to more primitive ways of living in order to keep themselves safe from the evolving monsters. So these guys live on their own secluded island that's only accessible during low tide by one small stretch of land. Raised on that island is our main character, Spike, played by Alfie Williams, a 12-year-old boy who is about to go hunting with his father Jamie, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, exposing him to the world beyond his small island for the very first time. And that's the plot of the movie. Well, I guess that's the plot of the first act of the movie. See, you might have heard by now that this movie has a couple of different plot points that really make it feel like multiple movies kind of mushed into one. And I'm here to say, yes, kind of, yeah. What starts as a well-shot, albeit shot on iPhone, but well-shot nonetheless, a small vignette of a father and son dealing with life in the midst of a nightmare. I mean, it sounds like good stuff, right? It definitely had me on board. Aaron Taylor Johnson did a pretty good job, but the real star of the show was young Alfie, who really held up the film on his shoulders, and he did a great job of it. After heading into the woods with his father, and having a few encounters with the infected, a second storyline sort of kicks in and takes over the film. And now we're in Act 2, which, trust me, is different.
There are many kinds of death.
Act 2 deviates quite a bit from what Act 1 had initially set up. If the beginning of the movie was a dramatic, intimate return to form for the zombie horror genre, the second act is where we start thinking less about the zombies, which, by the way, they are called zombies at least once in this movie, so I'm allowed to run my mouth about it as much as I want. But the second act of the film really becomes more a story of how far you'd be willing to go to save someone you love. Actually has very little to do with zombies in the second act. And that is where I have to shout out the performance of Jodie Comer, who plays Spike's mom. She had a tough role in this movie just because of the nature of how she had to play it, and I think she crushed it. Now, Aaron Taylor Johnson's character sort of stops existing for this portion of the movie, and sort of just for the rest of the movie in general. The movie does add a few lines that sort of explain why he's not around, but I don't know, it did feel just a little bit weird and just completely switched. But Spike is definitely the through line through this movie, which makes it all feel much more consistent, because at its core, this movie feels a lot more like a coming of age film than a zombie outbreak movie. Some other things I really enjoyed, but specifically about the first half of this movie, is that the music in the first half is incredible. It's very punk rock, very Danny Boyle-esque. As well, I know I already mentioned this, but the cinematography, especially in the first half, is great. Some of the editing, though, a bit weird. A bit weird. Also, because I didn't know where else to put this, Ralph Fiennes, who I'm trying not to talk too much about because his character is a little bit of a spoiler, he is so good as usual. So I just wanted to tell you. Now, I don't want to spoil too much about this, but I think where the movie really lost fans and potentially shafted their own movie, which up until Act 3 could have made for an agreeable entry in the series, it somehow gets corkscrewed into a blend of bold and creative and straight up parody. I don't want to tell you exactly what happens, we'll save that for the spoiler video, but suffice it to say that the final 2 minutes of this movie had me extremely confused. Confused is definitely the word. While I enjoyed many of this movie's well done attributes, and trust me, there are a lot of things to like about this movie, the word to really describe how I feel is confused. So if this is where the main problem of the movie is, and you're one of those audience members that's really looking forward to a nice night out at the movies that you probably never get, but you want it to be good and entertaining and potentially fulfilling to the movie that you already love, leave the theater after Act 2. No, I'm serious. Leave the theater after Act 2. You will like the movie more. Now, this is part of a new trilogy, and the next movie is less than 1 year away, so I can only hope that it's going to answer some of the many questions that it presented me with at the end of the film, and I'll be first in line to check it out because I want to know. And at the end of the day, I did enjoy something about this very much and very weirdly. I think it's just that you kind of think you're getting one thing that you're enjoying, and then it just takes such a bold and bizarre turn. As for a rating, I guess I gotta give this one 6.5 or 7 out of 10, because I gotta say, I probably will rewatch it, and I think this will be one of those ones that the more I watch it, the more I like it, but I do think that there's some context missing, so I'm gonna have to see the other movies to kind of recontextualize some of the shit in this movie that I did not get. But what do you guys think? Are you in the camp like me that enjoys this movie for better or worse? Or were you let down by the bizarre and kind of out of nowhere left turn that the movie took? That's it for me, guys. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.